if he were in New York City, okay, or somewhere along those lines, this brother would be significantly more appreciated.
Portland's Damian Lillard is sick of being a snub.
All day, very underrated.
Holiday mismatch. Holiday pulls up. Oh, he's a machine!
I'm sorry to break your ears, and I know this video isn't even about Dame, but it's loud and clear now that we're not sleeping on Dame. We haven't been sleeping on Dame. We're fully awake.
DJ Khaled.
Please, Khaled, don't pair me or compare me. Unless the said party is a rare breed. The stories I hear, they tend to mirror me. At this point now, rap is only therapy.
The past couple of months I have been killed for quote unquote sleeping on Dame. And all I've seen on Twitter is how we all sleep on Dame, how he never gets recognition that he deserves, how he's extremely underrated. Newsflash, people, this is the reality of the situation. It is not sleeping on Dame to say Stephen Curry, who is a two-time MVP, a two-time champion, who's in his prime, is better than him. And for the people telling me to switch the roles, I can tell you right now, at the very least, they're not being swept with Steph on that team. It is not sleeping on Dame to say Russell Westbrook, the reigning MVP, whose main flaw is being inefficient, yet is more efficient than Dame in the playoffs, in their career, is better than him. It isn't sleeping on Dame to say Chris Paul, who has led his team to multiple 51 seasons, is a better passer, just as good of a rebounder, a way better defender, and the more efficient scorer, is better than him. It is not sleeping on Dame to say Kyrie Irving and John Wall are better than him as well. And while we can argue for days, it's at the very least an actual debate. It is not sleeping on Dame when he's not an all-star, when he's competing with Stephen Curry, James Harden, Russell Westbrook, Chris Paul, Klay Thompson, and Jimmy Butler in the backcourt when you're in the Western Conference. It is not sleeping on Dame just because he hasn't been on an All-NBA team when you're competing with the guys I just mentioned, plus DeMar DeRozan, Kyrie Irving, John Wall, and cases like last year with Isaiah Thomas dropping 30 points a game and leading his team to the first seed in the Eastern Conference. The fact of the matter is Damian Lillard is a great player, deserved his All-Star, and deserved his All-NBA selection this year. But to act like we've been sleeping on him just because he doesn't get as much media attention as the other guys, when in most cases he doesn't deserve more, is ridiculous. He is rightfully appreciated, and that's all it is. If anything, I would go as far to say that this year Damian Lillard has been overrated. People were making him more than what he was, which is by definition being overrated. You had a head coach in the NBA saying that if he switched Dame and Steph that the Warriors would be just the same. When I can go on a whole another video explaining why that's not true at all. You had people overhyping him leading his team to the 3rd seed in the West when there's a 9-game difference between the 2nd and the 3rd seed, and they were only 1 to 3 games above the Thunder, the Jazz, the Spurs, the Timberwolves, the Pelicans, and the Nuggets, who all had a star player missing 20 plus games of the season, chemistry issues, and Andre Roberson with the Thunder. When you ask 100 people who's the most underrated player in the league, and 90 of them say Damian Lillard, I'm sorry to break your bubble, but you are not underrated. Meanwhile, while Damian Lillard has been self-proclaiming and running campaigns all year that he's been disrespected by the media, that it's just become a habit to snub him, even though he's got an all-star appearance in a year where he deserved it, got MVP considerations in a year where he deserved it, and is gonna get an All-NBA selection when he deserved it. There was Jrue Holiday, a former all-star who suffered injuries throughout the past couple of years, who's balling out in peace, not drawing out any attention to if he's being recognized or not. Jrue Holiday, ladies and gentlemen, is the most slept-on player in the NBA. Jrue Holiday versus the Blazers put the world on notice that he is here and he is here to stay. Now the series isn't over, but a commanding 3-0 lead with Game 4 being in New Orleans is just something I can't see the Blazers coming back from. And a large part, if not the biggest part, as to why the Pelicans have this lead is because of Jrue Holiday. And it started in Game 1. As Jrue held Dame to 18 points on 26% as the primary defender, and he himself tallied up 20 points on 50% shooting from the field and 7 rebounds and 2 blocks to go along with it. But Game 2, my god, this was probably the only time Jrue got national attention all year. and he let his play do the talk as he put up 33 points and 9 assists with only 1 turnover on 58% shooting from the field, making clutch bucket after clutch bucket while at the same time clamping up Dame to 17 points on 39% shooting from the field. And when I say clamp, you know, the numbers don't even do it justice. If you watch the game, you can clearly see that Jrue was playing a lockdown defense on him. And now game 3, which happened last night. Jrue Holiday put up 16 points on 50% shooting, 7 assists and 3 steals, and clamped up Dame again to 20 points on 36% shooting, 2 assists, and 8 turnovers. While a part of it is also Damian Lillard just taking bad shots and not making them, a huge part of it was Jrue Holiday's defense. But on a side note, at the same time, I don't want to hear excuses about Jrue's defense being the sole reason as to why Dame couldn't score, and looking back and giving Dame a pass because he was being guarded by Jrue Holiday. When you're one of the best scorers the league has to offer, scoring nearly 10 points less from the regular season on less than Bob Cousy's career field goal percentage is completely unacceptable. And I know what y'all might be saying now, y'all overhyping him just because of this series. No, we're not. Jrue has been playing above average this series, but his production throughout the whole season has been completely overlooked to the point where you have people making statements like the ones I just said. Because in the regular season, Jrue played 81 games, the healthiest he's ever been since 2013, which itself is already underrated. Put up 19 points a game, which is a career high, 4.5 rebounds, which is also a career high, to go along with 6 assists as a shooting guard on 49% from the field, which is also a career high as well, 34% from 3, and 79% from the free throw line. And the defense we're seeing in this series against Portland, it just didn't come out of thin air. Holiday has been doing this all season long, and he should get considerations for all NBA defensive team this year. And in the stretch that really put Anthony Davis on the MVP map, where he led the team to 10 straight wins, putting up a monster 36 points, 13 rebounds, 3 steals, and 3 blocks. Jesus Christ, those numbers are crazy. What was so slept on in that time span was Jrue Holiday, who was putting up 25 points per game on 52% shooting from the field, 43% from 3, and 83% from the line, to go along with 9 assists and 5 rebounds a game. Yet I didn't hear a single peep from the media or from Jrue himself about him not being recognized for his play. He just kept on playing. A couple months ago, I made a video on how AD needs to be freed from the Pelicans because his career is literally being wasted by a team who can't surround him with star power. And I definitely questioned them giving Jrue Holiday his contract. But ladies and gentlemen, Jrue Holiday may be the player that AD was asking for all this time. He may be the one that will be able to free AD from not having help, but keeping him at the same time in New Orleans. Jrue Holiday is only 27, about to be 28 in a couple weeks, and he still has around 3 to 4 years left in his prime. He's locked up in New Orleans, so there's no fear of him leaving. And while he will be getting older, if they can re-sign DeMarcus Cousins, which they do have full intentions of doing from what we know, he can legitimately be one of the best third options in the league if he's averaging 20 points on great efficiency and playing all NBA caliber defense for years to come. And with Rondo and Mirotic looking like they've finally found a home in New Orleans and playing phenomenal basketball, ladies and gentlemen, we may potentially have real title contenders in our hands in New Orleans for years to come. And this is largely due to Jrue Holiday stepping up. And all of this was going on while I was sleeping on Dame?